not including all the other stuff I do, but just like in legal contracts. My first 15K month didn't come for 6 months into entrepreneurship because I didn't have that brand. I was branded as a big law lawyer. Like people were like, well, I can't afford, she works at Kirkwood, for all these years. And all of a sudden now I'm like, yeah, hire me. And they're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not paying $5,000 an hour. So I had to re-educate people. So that's what I would have done differently. I just would have skipped the second firm. But big law is great because it's great for your brand. Even now, when I talk to clients, they're like, oh, you work at Kirkwood, great. You must be decently smart. Like that, you can't really buy that. That's kind of valuable. And I'm sure it's the same for like Sidley and some other firms too. Sidley, I have friends there. Yeah.
So when you were entering law school to being Oprah, I mean, like there's it's not the traditional law school path.
Right.
We'll say. So how have you developed this clear vision of the future and made the decisions to pivot when you have? There's a lot of risk that you've taken. I think you've gotten pretty lucky in a lot of the contexts. 6 months is not that long to start making that much money. Sometimes entrepreneurs go 2 years, 3 years before, and then they have to deal with a lot of venture capital that luck demands that get your arm twisted. So can you talk about kind of developing this vision for the future and the when you knew it was right to move?
Yeah, so my vision wasn't, it was very defined in law school, but it didn't include this. I always, in the back of my mind, I always knew I wanted to do stuff in media, but I was really scared that it wouldn't work out because being a lawyer is easy in that you can Google how to do it, right? Like you go to law school, you graduate, you become a lawyer, easy. Being Oprah is like, no one's telling me how to do it. I don't know. Like, I don't know how to do that. And my plan in law school was just go to Kirkland, stay there forever, make partner, figure it out then. Like figure out what else I'm gonna do with my life then. The only reason it changed for me was because in going to another firm and making more money, because I had always thought more money meant like more happiness. Everyone said that wasn't true. But I was like, no, you all are just not telling the truth. Like more money has to bring more happiness, because less money sure doesn't bring more happiness. So the inverse must be true. But in realizing that more money did not bring more happiness, that's when I had to really reevaluate what I wanted to do. And I fell into a really deep depression while working at McDermott's. I would get on the train and I would cry all the way until I got off the train to go to work. And it was at that point that my husband was like, okay, this is not worth it. Like you need to figure out what it is that you really want. And what makes me the most happy is speaking around the country, doing media, being on television, talking with people, helping people that I can tangibly see and feel versus companies that are so large that I didn't feel like I was making an impact. So I knew that my personal happiness was tied to impact. And at that point, it just became, how can I make money and impact at the same time? Because I have a nonprofit, it makes no money. It's not profitable at all. We put so much money into it, we make no money back. Getting grants is hard, begging for money, and I've done the impact broke model. I didn't like that, so I needed to have a for-profit business that made money. And when I left McDermott, it was not timed. Remember, they accepted a resignation that I did not tender, so I was essentially fired. And I had to figure out at that point, was I going to go back into the firm life? And I was going to go to Winston. I had an offer from there, but I couldn't clear conflicts at Winston because of a case I worked on at McDermott. So at that point, I was really sad. But I took that as a sign, because I prayed this prayer. This is very spooky. But I prayed this prayer before I got the Winston offer, and it was like, God, I want an opportunity. I only want to take an opportunity that's custom made for me. And right after, the next day after praying that prayer, I lost my Winston offer. But I was like, no, that was custom. Winston was good. We were good there. And I thought that would work. And then I started interviewing at all these other firms that you all may have heard of, but they were smaller than the big law firms. And there was no way with a Northwestern resume, Kirkland on your bio, good recommendations, that these firms shouldn't have just been your start date is tomorrow, And they weren't. They were like, we're going to take a couple weeks to consider. And I'm like, I'm not going to say the name of the firm, but I would go home to my husband and be like, insert firm here told me I'm going to have to. I was like, this is not working. And so he was like, well, maybe it's because you don't want to do any of this and they can tell that you're going to get there and you're not going to like it. And you're just going to be an associate that hates their job. And I was like, oh, maybe I am giving off that vibe. So I had to just figure, he was like, just take a year. So our plan was, if you could be profitable in 6 months and sustainable in a year, then you can keep doing this. But if you can't, then you have to consider going back into a big firm. Because firms will be around. None of the firms are going to go belly up in a year. So that was kind of the plan. It's figure out how to be profitable in 6 months. In the first 3 months, I spent hiring profitability coaches. People